everyone. Welcome to Work Love Wednesday. Today me and Smelts are here for Work Love Wednesday. It is time for Work Love Wednesday. Hello. Welcome to Work Love Wednesday. It is 10:30 on the dot. I am on time. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Pretty pumped. So today we're talking about legacies. I want to chat about that. And I want to chat about dreams and visions and the differences and why they're relevant and why I want to talk about them now. And I also want to play with the Miracles Now cards, which I haven't touched for a very long time, which is quite sad. And so we're going to do that today. So lots of good stuff. A lot of things that I want to chat about today on Work Love Wednesday. But first off, let's just kind of recap some things that happened over the last week. I'm trying to think if anything big happened over the last week. As people hop on and say hello in the comments, because it doesn't tell me, it just tells me that somebody's watching. It doesn't tell me who you are. But this past weekend, we went to Kalahari Water Park, which was pretty cool. Very new experience. Very interesting for me because I don't do well with large crowds of people. And there's a lot of people there and a lot of people with their own agendas and just kind of barreling through. But the kids had a great time. I guess I shouldn't say highlight, but the big traumatic experience at Kalahari was the lazy river. So for those of you that don't know what a lazy river is, it's basically a circular pool where they push a current through and you get to sit in tubes and it allows you to kind of float around. It's supposed to be really relaxing. The ones at Kalahari go a little bit faster and the tubes are smaller, so you can't like chill in them and fall asleep. And a lot of the younger children like to hop into the lazy river and basically have races around. So it's not really exciting. It's more so like bumper tubes. So Madeline and Zoe thought that this ride, whatever you want to call it, water amusement thingy, was terrifying. It was terrifying for both of them. And so they both were fighting over being in either my tube or Josh's tube. So I had Zoe, and she was in my tube, and she was okay. She was a little hesitant. She was a little afraid. And I decided, I got brave, that I was going to be able to adjust so I could be more comfortable in the tube for our ride. And in the process of doing so, I flipped the tube. She goes dunking into the water. It must have looked really ridiculous because when I came out of the water, because I reacted as quickly as possible to get Zoe above water, there was a lifeguard that was right there, and his face was just kind of priceless. And he was like, "Are you guys okay?" So it must have been quite a spectacle. But then I later found out when we went to lunch that I hurt myself. I got this boo-boo on my arm, and it hurt so much. And it's just like a little bit, like it's a little scrape. And it's just amazing to me how paper cuts and little scrapes hurt the most. So that was our big highlight for the weekend. Something else happened at the end of last week, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit when we get to talking about legacies. But before that, let's talk about dreams and visions, and in reference to boards. So last week, 2 weeks ago, if you're on our mailing list for Leadership Arts Associates, I send out the monthly newsletter, and I always put a little blurb. That kind of, I don't know, it's more so like a reflection, similar to what I do here. I come every week and I share some thoughts, and a lot of them are just reflections that I've had from the week. And so that is really no different. It's kind of what sparks my inspiration in the moment, and that's what I share with people. Well, I actually ended up going on a rant in regards to vision boards because in January we hold our big event, Vision Fest, which we've been holding for, I think this is year 4. It's an amazing event. It creates amazing results, and I'll talk a little bit about why I think it does that in a minute. but it's also one of the most difficult events for us to market. And the reason why I believe that it is because I think vision boards get a bad rep. I think that they got really popular, and a lot of people were talking about them, but everybody's definition of them is a little bit tweaked. Everyone has a little bit different thought processes on it, and I even see that when those who sign up to attend our Vision Fest, and when it is different than what they expected. So first off, let's talk about the difference between a dream board and a vision board. So the big difference is a dream board are the things that you want, the things that you dream about. So for example, I remember 3 years ago, which you totally can put this on your vision too if it comes through, but I remember we had a young lady who wanted to manifest a man. And so she wanted to put a man on her vision board. During Vision Fest, we walk through and we do a lot of coaching to help make sure that your vision board is what it should be for what you need for this coming year. But that is a great example of something that could go on a dream board. So if you wanted to put, I don't know, your ideal husband or ideal house. I remember one time we had a gentleman who came and he put all leather recliners on. And so those things are part of a dream board. A dream board is manifesting very specifically what you want and what it looks like. And so those are dream boards. Vision boards are articulating who you want to be or where you want to be, typically in a year's time. Sometimes you can do them on a longer, grander scale. At Leadership Arts, I shouldn't even say at Leadership Arts, my philosophy and the way I have always approached doing vision boards as using them as a sense of clarity, helping you stay connected to your intended path personally, professionally, and really understanding what are the next steps that you need to go through in your life, the biggest growth that you need to kind of manifest and have happen for you in order for you to get where you ultimately want to be. And so that is the end goal for us at Vision Fest, is that everyone leaves with these boards that represent the path that they should encounter in the next year, that allows them to be reaffirmed that they're on the right connected path. And we have several testimonials and examples of that happening, and we do that through vision board manifestations. If you go on leadershipisart.com/vision, at the bottom, there's like 7 to 9 different people sharing about their boards and how things have manifested in the previous year. It's been really incredible, even for me, looking at what's happening on my vision boards. Now, for this past year, as requested by some people, we did one in May, which was an off-cycle Vision Fest, and we had 3 people. It was like a really small, intimate event, but it was cool. And it allowed me to take some time to get even clearer on what that path is. And so it's almost like a deeper dive on what I created in January. So I want to show you my boards because I think they're a great example. So we're going to do a panorama so you can see my boards. I think I got it on Instagram and Facebook, playing with 2 cameras here. So I want to talk a little bit about this board, and you can see there's glitter on it. Speaking of which, I started the process of putting away the office Christmas decorations, and there's glitter everywhere, and I still need to finish. I don't understand why it takes so long to put things away, but that's I sidetrack. But so this was the board that I made in January, and now looking at it, I really get a chance to kind of figure out what all this means and how it has manifested in my path. So the biggest one is the words healing touch. If you don't know, if you didn't see my year review, I did get attuned as a Reiki 1 level practitioner, which is all about, for me, integrating the beginning levels of energy work. And so that's healing touch for me. There's a lot of yoga on here, so completely unexpected but precise. I pursued my yin yoga certification, which I'm still finalizing, but that was the year of this. The other one is the pug, which I actually talked about in the newsletter, which reminds me of my puppy dog, Allie. And this has been a year where we've really realized that she is not as young and puppy-like anymore. She's 12 years old. We had to remove a tumor from her leg, but it was a very big reminder to me, things that have happened this year, that I need to make sure I take the time and really appreciate while she's here. Because you don't know. You don't know if she's going to be here tomorrow. In fact, on Saturday morning before we left for Kalahari, I had a really big freak out moment because she all of a sudden did the splits on her back legs, and I so thought that her back legs had gone out, and that she was going to have to go to the emergency vet, and this whole horrible story just played in my mind. So she shows up on here. You'll see that on my May board, she shows up again. The other thing you see is the dragon there, which is also symbolic of Mary Rose. So I knew that at the beginning, but we also created a personality assessment this year, which was kind of unexpected. Like, it was something we had played with, but we actually did it. And it has unicorns and dragons as some of the archetypes for that personality assessment. There's lots of green on here, which to me always represents healing, talking about cleansing and nutrition, which has been a huge piece of the entire year, is really focusing on nutrition and understanding how and what I'm eating. And most of you have heard that I've shared that I have this mantra that I've kind of adopted already in 2019, that I eat to live rather than live to eat, which is the way that I was raised. And I still love certain foods, but we don't have to, I don't have to engorge on them. I can just still have them and still have moments of joy, but recognize that to do the work that I want to do, that I'm really passionate about, I need to be careful about what I put in my body. I mean, that's just, my body functions better with certain things. I mean, that's just simple as, that's it. That's how simple it is. So this is just high level of things that were on my board, and pointing out some of the big events that most of you would have known about, because I share about them. In the corner, this whole water park thingy. I shouldn't say water park. I don't think water park, but there was something. The other day, I just had it how it manifested, and I have lost it. It will come back, and then I will put some random post up about how it manifested. Anyway, so let's check out the second board. So this is one that I made in May. It has a lot of animals on it. It's got the penguin on it. It's got Disney on it. It's got flamingos on it. It's got your dream job. So there's a couple of things. Like I said, this is a deeper dive on what my path should have looked like to make sure that I'm staying connected. And so here's a couple of things that have really stood out to me. Number one, the newest book that came out, Unstuck You, if you look at the cover, it's got flamingos on it. And flamingos actually were the gigantic metaphor / mascot for the Unstuck You program. The other thing that I want to point out is the roses in the corner, which remind me of Huntington Gardens in Pasadena and their rose garden. The reason why that's important is because in the next November will be Josh and I's 10-year wedding anniversary. And so we've been talking about if we should do something or not do something, but wanting to be intentional about it. But also just celebrating the fact that we have managed to support and love each other for 10 years and uphold that commitment that we started 10 years ago. This whole idea of keep joy alive, as well as, dream job, which I don't know if you can see that on Facebook. I've done a lot of work at Leadership Arts, a lot of behind the scenes, and you're going to see a lot of it coming alive in 2019, of focusing on what is my specific niche? What do I want to be doing in 5 years at Leadership Arts Associates? Having the private page that you're watching now, doing Work Love Wednesdays, that's all playing into that. And that self-discovery that's happening. But really, I've been asking myself those questions. What's going to bring me the most joy? And what is my true dream job? Like, I know that I'm in the industry that I want to be in, but in the world of HR, there's so much. And I've already kind of know that I love individual development. I love professional development with paying respect to the personal aspect. And so that's all there. But how does that come alive? And how does that function in this business? So that's the other piece that's there. The picture of Disneyland, I think, is really fascinating, because I think sometimes there's just a literal manifestation that happens. And so this past year, I was introduced to an amazing artist, Deborah Nell, and she does these pour paints that she prays over, and then she completes the image. And I got to go to her holiday art show, and I actually got an image that reminds me a lot of the love that I'm celebrating with Josh, of these roses, but it's with the castle behind. The castle looks just like this picture that's there. So just interesting. The penguin, for me, I said this a couple of weeks ago, that it represents family. And so there have been some things that are happening with family that really hit home for me, and paying special attention and being mindful to that, and reminding myself about how fast time goes, and how I need to make time for those that are really, really important to me. And the tattoos. So this whole year has been me planning for tattoos. I got my first tattoo. I actually just told Mary Rose that I want to go make an appointment, because I'm ready for my second one. I'm torn between 2. I have a total of 5 that I want to have. But tattoos have really become an expression for me, and just really part of my personal practice. Is the easiest way that I can put that. So I do this because the way that these vision boards work is that they actually provide a method to allow you to know if you're on the right path. And I think that's a question that I ask myself all the time, is, am I going in the right direction? I know that I want to be happy. I know that I want to live where I feel loved and feel joy. And for most of us, the context or the details are not as important as if I truly am experiencing feeling love and joy. And so the boards almost create a map of reassurance to let you know, this is what it looks like. This is what you should be seeing in this year. And sometimes it's a literal manifestation. Sometimes it's just reaffirmation. I don't know if you've ever experienced deja vus, where you feel like you've been in one place and it keeps reappearing for you. I personally refer to deja vus as kind of reaffirmation that I'm on the right path, that I've seen it's like a sign that I'm going in the right direction. And I think that's what we're all aiming for, is being connected, having this connected path, and finding a way to stay on it and move through it. And so because of that, I really don't like calling them vision boards anymore, because I think they get a bad reputation, and people think certain things about them when I bring up about Visions Fest, or I bring up about vision boards. But really, for me, it's creating a connected campus. It's creating something for you to be reminded of what it feels like to be connected and what your path is. And that path is the path to success. I'm a huge fan of the book, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, and he talks about the success curve and being on the path for success, embedded from your philosophy, and guiding us in our attitudes and our decisions and the simple disciplines that we do day in and day out. But sometimes we need that reassurance. And these are created using an intuitive practice. So anytime that I do Vision Fest here at Leadership Arts, it is truly a intuitive process. It starts off with what we call an orientation, a create orientation, but we go through a visualization exercise that is hand created every year. Every year it's unique. It's intuitively designed and created by myself for who I believe is going to show up at that day, or who is meant to show up, and how it will serve them. And we start that day like that. Then we walk you through doing what I call the intuitive pull, to go through the magazines or through the visualization. Sometimes you see images, and allowing you to go ahead and create what you see. We do those here too. But the whole idea is that you leave with a canvas that is so powerful for you, that not necessarily for you to be a powerful manifesting force, which is what you ultimately become, but more so for you to be able to have something that's almost a support mechanism, a reaffirmation of knowing when you're going in that right direction. I mean, because that's what people ask me all the time. They come in for coaching and they want to know, what is the right path? What is the one that's going to give me love and joy? There are so many paths that can do that. It's so funny because when I did coaching the last round, and kind of in this state of being where I don't have an active coach right now, except for my other personal development tools, like your online coaches, that per se, like your Marie Forleos and your Gabby Bernsteins. But one of the breakthroughs was just telling me that all roads lead to Rome. That I have so much potential. I'm capable of doing whatever that I want to do, but I've got to pick one road. And that's the same for all of us. All the roads will lead there. We've just got to pick one, and go there. And we need reminders, because there's just so much messiness that surrounds us in life. There are so many people that need to be so loud, and I shouldn't say probably, it's because they're so disconnected from their path. They feel lost and alone, and so that's the only way that they feel like they can get attention and feel some sort of appreciation and love. But all of those people speaking so loudly make us feel like we don't know what direction we're going in, or maybe we're just aimlessly wandering around. And so that's why I think these are a beautiful thing. And these are created in January, and I talked about this the other week, about how I really am starting to pay attention to the natural balance of the seasons of life. And January is in the season of winter, which is a time of reflection. It's inward. It's supposed to point you inward. And we're not doing action planning. We're not doing goal setting. Last week we talked about, being intentional rather than resolutions and fixing problems. This is being intentional and paying attention to the guidance that you're being given by the universe, by a higher power, whatever your belief system is, and allowing you to just have a beautiful creation that helps sustain you through another year, through another 6 months, because we're going to do one in the summer, so that you can make it through there and have even more clarity. Because I get it, with all the hats that we have to wear, all the things that are going on, with all the demands of life, it is exhausting, it is tiring, and sometimes we just want to forget and sit on the couch and binge watch Netflix. But these things are powerful tools in that sense. So there's my big rant about visions and dreams. If you want to have a board that has all of the things that you want in life, create a dream board, put all those things, put the Porsche, the Ferrari, the big house, those things you can totally have, put them on the dream board, and then manifest that way. That's a whole nother manifestation aspect. And there's some really cool tools and articles out there. If you follow Rachel Hollis, I just saw on her newsletter, she was highlighting about dream boards. She was highlighting about family vision boards, which is following a similar kind of process. There's so many articles out there, so check them out, figure out what resonates with you, but don't discount the tool because, I don't know, they haven't worked for you in the past. Because maybe you're creating a dream board and that's not what you were looking for. What you're looking for is an actual vision board, or what I like to call a connected canvas. I think that's what my new jam of term is. I'm going to start calling them connected canvases. Connected canvases of clarity. Yeah? I don't know. Um, so the next topic that I wanted to just chat about briefly, on Saturday, I learned that a good friend of mine passed away suddenly on Friday. And I was actually trying to take deep breaths before doing Work Love Wednesday today, because one of the things that he always routinely did was hop on Work Love Wednesday. He would send hearts and thumbs up and remind me that he's there and that he's supporting, and he is one of the biggest cheerleaders for me, but also for York City. And so if you haven't heard, his name is Doug Knight, also known as DK. Everybody knows him. The community is doing amazing things to celebrate his life. And it's incredibly moving. I think this is the first time I've ever seen the flooding of stories about how someone who's not technically a celebrity has impacted so many lives and a community. And he had this beautiful ability that when you were with him, you felt like he was your entire world. And now, even more so, as I watch the comments, I realize how many people he was doing that for. But he was a huge cheerleader. He showed up. He pushed me when I thought my dreams were too big. He would hold my hand and make sure that I kept moving forward. But one of the things that I think is a really important lesson about this, I mean, this is somebody who very unexpectedly is gone. I took for granted that I thought he would be here this year and we would have this amazing year. I didn't see him as much as I wanted to last year because life was just too busy. But what is the legacy you're going to leave behind? I work with a lot of people who are 5 years from retirement, and then they're telling me that they don't know what they want to be when they grow up. I talk to people on a regular basis who say that it's too late for them, that this is just what life is. We all want to leave something behind for certain people, and it doesn't have to be a whole community like DK did. I mean, DK was an amazing individual, but we all have something that we're meant to do while we're here. And we need to make sure we're not just waiting for that magical day, because we don't know. We don't know if there's going to be a tomorrow. And he was not done. In his mind, he was not done doing the work that he was meant to do. But he did so much, and he had such an impact. And he made a world of a difference for me. I mean, he's one of the main reasons why Leadership Arts is probably still open today, why I even believe I had a chance. He also was the person who helped me understand how York is my home, because I really struggled with that moving here from California. That whole transition was very difficult for me, and DK very persistently helped me understand why I was needed in the community and why I fit in the community and why I was part of York. And so I'm actually working on a legacy post, the things that I hope that I hold on to and that I remember after he's no longer here to remind me constantly. But I just wanted to mention the concept of legacy. And if you know somebody who's waiting for some magical day, encourage them, gently nudge, remind them that they don't know if there's going to be a tomorrow, and start today, whatever is that they think they can achieve or what they want to do. So that probably was very, very jumbled, but I'm still doing a lot of reflection and processing on how I am grieving, as I am still a little bit in shock, the fact that he's not here anymore. So to end, I want to use these Miracle Now cards. These Miracle Now cards are created by Gabrielle Bernstein, and they just basically provide a random kind of thought. I use them a lot with coaching clients to help shift perspective, especially when people are in a toxic work environment, and they're concerned about once they're in the work environment, if they're going to be able to have the same perspective that they do when they're in a coaching session away from it. Because there's a lot of reasons why people feel like they need to I shouldn't say need to, why people have to stay where they're at for being employment. I mean, I know here in the local area, if you're a specialty practitioner in healthcare, there's only so many around unless you're going to drive, which for work-life balance does not make a lot of sense, and for your family. And so we have to build in coping strategies to allow you to still feel and be passionate about your job. All right. So the way that you just do these is you just randomly pick a card. You can call it that it's intuitively based, that a card just kind of speaks to you. So I'm just going to pick this one. And the card says, I dish out compliments sincerely and literally. Oh. And I think it's just a powerful reminder, about being genuine. And so this will be the thought that I leave you with today on this Wednesday is, in whatever conversations or interactions that you're having with people, I know we like to put on the nice act. I know that we like to do what we think we need to do. But there is something really powerful about being genuine. And so even leading back to this concept about DK, DK changed so many people's lives, impacted so many people. But at the root of it, every one of those relationships were 100% genuine. I am amazed at how he kept them all straight and how he could remember everybody. That was a phenomenal talent that he definitely had. But he was genuine. If he wasn't genuine, I don't think he could have had the impact that he had. So when you feel something, when you feel something and you want to say something, say it. And be sincere about it. And don't hold back. I mean, one of the things I know that I'm a practice I started a while ago, but I really enjoy doing, and actually makes me really happy. And I don't know why we hold back these thoughts, but when I like something, I say it. So if I like your shoes, I like your necklace, I like if you use a word that I like, all those kinds of things. If you have, when I go to conferences, if you have job titles that I really enjoy, or places of work, I don't think Stephanie ever hops on here, but the HR director for Dutch Wonderland, I met her at a Lancaster HR event, and I always say that I went a little bit fangirl because I'm like, you're the HR director of a big amusement park, and my kids love Dutch Wonderland, and it's like you are a celebrity in Dutch Wonderland world. So, but don't hold back on what you want to share and what you want to say, because once again, going back to legacy, going back to the whole idea that we don't know about tomorrow, we don't know what's going to happen for people. Your comment can make all the difference. Your compliment can make all the difference. And so just think about that. So other than that, thanks for watching this week. I will see you next week on Work Love Wednesday. And hi, Auntie Angie. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.